point did you say, I have to make a change in my life?
I actually had like a little road of Damascus experience
Okay.
myself. I was in my car driving and I heard this song by Dorinda Clark Cole, and it was called Rescue Praise. And I felt like she was singing this song specifically for me, and it probably felt more that it ran over for about 10, 15 minutes. It wasn't that long, but I realized that I hadn't grieved. I hadn't grieved through the process of losing a job, my mom, and any of the things that had taken place. I hadn't really grieved. I hadn't taken the time to really cry. And I was in the car and I really began to, I committed, contemplated suicide, and I didn't want to live anymore. I was severely depressed. And I kept saying, God, I'm mad, I'm angry at you. Like, why weren't you there? Why did you let me go through all these things? He said, I was there. That's why you never were able to go through the suicide. That's why you're still here now. And so I began to really break down and for the first time cry. And I mean the ugly cry, the one that makes your face hurt. But I felt a feeling coming into me that I had never felt in my entire life. It was love. For the very first time in my life, I actually felt the spirit of love that can only be given truly from God. Authentic love, unconditional love. He didn't care what I looked like, and he began to fill me, and he began to tell me that not only will I make it, but I would go on to do great things, that I would go on to help other people that are feeling hollow, to help them understand my love. He wanted me just to simply tell people that he loves them, and that's something that we don't hear a lot from people. We don't think that we love, and he just said, tell people that I love them. I love them. I love you when you're up, when you're down. I love you when you don't love yourself. I love you, and I felt that for the first time in 40-something years. I really felt unconditional love, and that was the turning point.
So tell me about the feeling, and how did you begin to feel the hollowness and begin to be this fully realized person?
Well, again, when he didn't judge me. God didn't judge me. Even the mistakes that I made, he just didn't judge me for those mistakes. The drugs that I took, the alcohol, the abuse that I did to my own temple. He said, you know what? I can forgive you and I can help you with that. He began to give me the answers and the wisdom on how to put life back in me. He said, you will regain entry back into life and I will help you. So he started renewing my mind and teaching me about health and nutrition and teaching me about decluttering my life.
Wow, decluttering.
Like decluttering my friends, getting rid of toxic relationships and toxic friends, and how to declutter my home environment and how to put myself in an environment where there's peace. Because I had a lot of turmoil in my life. So he began to show me that. He showed me how to cook. That's amazing. He really showed me how to cook. He showed me what I needed to do to bring love back. The most amazing thing he told me to do, I said, I'm going to learn to scuba dive. So I'm a certified scuba diver, certified in nitrox, and also an underwater photographer. And I decided, I'm going to do this. I had some of my biggest lessons, 130 feet on the continental shelf in Bimini and 180 feet underwater. I had some of my biggest lessons from God and the grace of God and the goodness of God underwater watching fish, because he said, I gave you dominion over the fish of the air, of the fish of the sea and the fowl of the air. And that one fish that you're watching eat off this coral is not worried about what he will eat and where he will sleep. He doesn't even worry about the number of emails he has in his queue waiting for him. He just knows that I'm going to take care of him and I love him to provide all of this for you. And so scuba diving taught me a lot about the goodness and the grace of God, believe it or not.
So you talk about this relationship and this conversation with God. How do you hear God?
I hear him in my spirit. Sometimes it's a quiet, still, sweet voice. And sometimes we have so much noise going on in our lives where we can't really hear. But it's when I get quiet, it's when I get, alone, and sometimes I'll turn the radio off, or sometimes I'll just sit alone, is when I begin to feel him in my heart. It's like the ear in my heart, it's a feeling that I get. And sometimes it's getting quiet. And that was hard for me because I was all over the place all the time. And I've learned now to just get quiet, be still, and hear his voice. It's an inner voice. People call it a lot of different things. They call it, my conscience, or, I heard a voice say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something said.
Something said this to me.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe. And one of the things I notice the difference is that it's always giving me wisdom. Mm-hmm. God is never telling me to go out and rob a bank or harm someone. So when I'm getting wisdom to do good, to give, to go in this direction, and it's going to bring life to someone, I always know it's the sweet, beautiful voice of God talking to me.